The sunset painted the Oregon coastal road, golden, where I, Ellen, 50 years old, drove my vintage Porsche 911, my hair flowing in the salty sea breeze, feeling freedom fill every breath. The soft roar of the engine blended with the steady crash of waves as sunlight sparkled on the car's body. The car I bought with the money from my first major design contract for coastal elegance, the interior studio that had become my 15-year passion. As the studio owner, I loved turning seaside villas into poetic spaces, from crystal chandeliers to soft velvet chairs, bringing clients' dreams to life. This small town knew me through meticulous designs, each detail a promise of beauty I offered to the community. But tonight, when I parked in front of the beach house and checked my iPhone, a message from Nathan, my husband, made my heart stop, like a sudden rising wave, swallowing me whole. Porsche sold for $80,000. Vanessa, whatever you want, I'll buy it. Ellen's just busy with work. She doesn't know anything. Arrogant, cruel words, like a blade slicing into the 20 years of marriage I had cherished. He had made a mistake, sent it to me instead of Vanessa, likely choosing the wrong name in his contacts. My hands trembled, but I kept my breath steady and stepped into the house, where dim light fell on our wedding photo hanging on the wall. 20 years. I believed Nathan was family, the one who promised to drive the Porsche with me into sunsets. But now I faced a painful truth. He sold my car, stole my dream of freedom to provide for someone else. I stood by the window looking at the Oregon ocean, shimmering under the moonlight, my fingers gripping the iPhone, while the waves whispered, awakening a quiet pride in me. My mother, who passed away 10 years ago, once said, "Ellen, you're stronger than you think, and dignity is something no one can take from you." I took a deep breath. The salty air grounded me and typed a cold reply. "Wrong person, Nathan. You'll face the consequences soon." Nathan thought I'd fall apart, but he made a grave mistake. I stared out at the ocean, eyes, sharp resolve burning within me. Have you ever felt your world shatter in a single moment when the one you love most betrays you? I lived through it, but I knew I would rise stronger than ever. The signs of betrayal had crept in long before, quietly, like the tide pulling back before the storm hits, but I was too busy with coastal elegance to notice them. Nathan had changed. Those late meetings ran oddly long, the secretive glances at his phone each night, as if he was hiding an unshareable secret. I thought he was just stressed from managing finances, but then I noticed the new suits, the expensive cologne things he had never cared for at 52. One evening, while tidying up his coat, I found a restaurant receipt from a hotel 2 hours outside town, dated the night he said he was working late at the office. I confronted him right in the living room of our beach house, the dim light casting shadows on our wedding photo, and asked Nathan, "What is this receipt? And why were you dining at a hotel so far away, when you said you were at the office?" He laughed casually, but his eyes flickered like the sea, unsteady. "Just a dinner with an important client." "Ellen? Don't worry, I didn't do anything wrong, I swear." But the deceit in his voice chilled me like a design gone off color. That night I sat alone in the living room, staring at our wedding photo, where we once smiled so brightly, promising to grow old together, driving the Porsche into sunsets. Now it felt like a bitter lie. Nathan's mistaken message echoed in my mind. "Ellen's just busy with work. She doesn't know anything." The pain surged like the tide, but I wouldn't let it drown me. I wiped away the tears and whispered to myself, "I'm stronger than this, and I will find the truth, no matter how painful." I opened my laptop, checked our joint accounts, and discovered a transaction. $80,000, withdrawn the exact amount Nathan boasted about in his message. He had forged my signature, sold the Porsche through a shady company. I immediately opened a private account and moved all the funds from my coastal elegance contracts into it carefully. Like choosing each silk fabric for a client, I documented every detail. the mistaken message, the hotel receipt, the suspicious bank transaction. Meanwhile, I called Julia, my best friend from college, now an accountant in Salem, and said with a shaky but firm voice, "Julia, I need you to look into some transactions and find out what Nathan's been doing behind my back. He's hiding something big, and I need to know the truth before it destroys everything I've built." Julia answered right away, voice full of resolve. "Ellen, if Nathan's playing dirty, I'll dig up every detail, and I'll do it fast. Trust me." I stood gazing out the window at the town of Oregon, lit up by the villas I had designed, feeling like the wedding photo on the wall was burning holes into my doubt. I turned back to my desk, continued sketching new designs, each line a reminder that I had built coastal elegance with my bare hands. Have you ever felt like you had to fight to hold on to the dream you poured your sweat into while the world seemed to turn its back? I was doing exactly that, and what I uncovered next stunned me more than anything before. The next afternoon, I was showing Lily, my assistant, how to arrange the showroom for the upcoming design exhibition. My hand was gliding over the deep blue velvet fabric when my iPhone vibrated in my pocket, snapping me out of my thoughts. A message from an unknown number popped up, its tone venomous like a sharp blade. "Ellen." Nathan said, "I'm the one he needs. The one who brings him joy. You never could. He bought me a diamond ring with the money from your Porsche. You should get out of this town before all of Oregon knows how badly you failed as a wife." The cruel words froze me as if a wave had just slammed against a cliff. Lily looked at me, her eyes filled with concern, waiting for my reaction. But I smiled gently and said, "Lily, add a few yellow lights in this corner. It'll make the space feel warmer." Inside, I was boiling like a storm. Nathan didn't just sell my Porsche. He used that money to buy a lavish gift for Vanessa. And now they wanted to destroy my reputation, the one I had built through countless nights of sketching designs, signing contracts under the glow of studio lights. When Lily left to check the fabric storage, I called Nathan. My voice was calm but icy. Each word weighed carefully. "Nathan, who is Vanessa? And why did you sell my Porsche to buy her a ring? I got her message and I know you're lying, so tell me the truth right now, or you'll regret it." He went silent for a long while, then stammered, his voice trembling, "Ellen, I don't know what she's talking about. The message was just some stupid mistake. I swear I didn't sell the car, and I have nothing to do with Vanessa." But the falsehood in his voice was as clear as a miscolored design sketch, and I knew he was hiding the truth. I texted Julia, my tone resolute. "Julia, I need you to dig deeper because Nathan isn't just cheating. He's trying to destroy me and coastal elegance." "I want to know everything, and I want it fast," Julia replied instantly. "Ellen, I'm following some major leads. Give me a few days, and I'll bring you everything you need to face Nathan." I returned to the studio, focusing on the design draft for a VIP client with deep blue velvet chairs and soft golden chandeliers. Every stroke of the pen, like a brush, reviving my life. That evening in the coastal house, dim lights surrounding the living room, I opened the wedding album where Nathan and I smiled brightly, the ocean waves behind us like a promise of forever love. But now I saw only betrayal behind his smile. I closed my eyes, letting the sadness pass, not because I lost him, but because I lost faith in the one I once called family. I stood up, looking out at the sea through the window, the sound of the waves a steady reminder that I had to be stronger than ever. The Porsche wasn't just a car. It was a symbol of freedom, my sweat and labor, and Nathan had stolen it. I opened my iPad, checking the schedule for the upcoming annual design exhibition where the whole town would gather. That would be my stage where I'd begin to reclaim everything one step at a time. Have you ever wanted to scream because of the betrayal of the one you loved the most, but instead chose to fight wisely? I wanted that, but I also knew how to make justice a reality. The next day, I opened the Coastal Elegance studio, my heart heavy but my will sharp, like a blade carefully honed. I wanted to focus on preparing for the design exhibition, to momentarily forget the pain, but a call from Mrs. Harper, a VIP client who regularly commissioned designs for luxury vacation homes, left me stunned, like another wave crashing over me. "Ellen, I heard your studio is in serious financial trouble," she said, her voice hesitant, as if she didn't want to believe it. "There are rumors that you've misused Coastal Elegance's funds, and your marriage is falling apart, so I have to cancel the contract for the upcoming beach house project." I froze, feeling the ground collapse beneath me. Coastal Elegance had always operated transparently, never in debt, and I had spent 15 years building its reputation. One design at a time, I asked more. And Mrs. Harper revealed that a reliable source had warned her that I wasn't trustworthy, that my studio was going bankrupt. I knew instantly it was Vanessa, or worse, Nathan himself, deliberately spreading rumors to destroy my career. I sat in the studio's small office, looking at the neatly stacked contracts and fabric swatches, feeling like the whole world was turning its back on me. Coastal Elegance was my dream. The place where I found joy through the hardest days from my mother's passing to my struggle to expand the studio. If I lost it, what would I have left, besides falling silk swatches? Doubt began to creep in. But right at that moment, Lily pushed the door open, carrying an artisanal coffee, her smile bright, like Oregon sunshine. "Ms. Ellen, take a break. You've been working too much, and I made the coffee just the way you like it," she said, her voice full of cheer. Lily's smile pulled me out of the darkness like a gentle sea breeze. I took the coffee, the warmth spreading through my palms, reminding me why I started Coastal Elegance. To bring beauty and joy to people. No matter the hardship, I called Mrs. Harper back, my voice firm yet professional. "Mrs. Harper, I assure you that Coastal Elegance is completely stable, and I'll send the financial report today to prove it. I hope you'll continue to trust our design vision." She agreed to reconsider, and I let out a breath of relief, but the rumors didn't stop. I overheard clients whispering that Coastal Elegance was shutting down, that I was a failed wife who couldn't keep her husband. Another client canceled a big contract citing they'd heard I wasn't trustworthy. I texted Julia, my tone sharp. "Julia, someone's trying to destroy me. Not just Nathan, but the reputation of Coastal Elegance. I need you to find out the truth right now." Julia replied instantly. "Ellen, I'm almost there. Hang in a little longer. I'll bring you everything you need to fight back." I returned to the studio, sunlight spilling over the deep blue velvet fabric on the table, like a reminder that I was still standing despite all the lies. The Porsche was my symbol of freedom, and Nathan wanted to take that from me, but I won't let him win. Have you ever felt like the whole world turned its back on you just because of a traitor's lies? I've lived through that, but I know I must fight. And I will. With everything I've got. 3 days later, Julia sent me a report, and it was like a tsunami, sweeping away all my assumptions about Nathan. He wasn't just cheating, he was systematically planning to steal my assets. Julia found a string of emails between Nathan and Vanessa, an employee he met at a financial conference 2 years ago. Nathan paid Vanessa $10,000 to spread rumors about me with a cold instruction. "Make Ellen think she's lost everything, so she'll leave and hand Coastal Elegance over to us." He sold the Porsche through a shady company, transferred $80,000 to Vanessa's secret account, and even tried to access the joint account to withdraw more money. But I had already moved all the funds. He didn't just want to support Vanessa. He wanted to control the profits from Coastal Elegance, the dream I had built from the very beginning. Back when I was sketching designs at the kitchen table, I sat in the studio office, clutching the report, the sunlight hitting the velvet fabric, as if burning through Nathan's lies. I called him to the beach house, confronting him under the dim light of the living room, where our wedding photo once stood proudly, but now was just a painful memory. Nathan walked in pale-faced, his eyes red as if he knew the secret had been exposed. "Ellen, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for things to go this far. I just wanted to help Vanessa through a rough patch. And I lost control, he said, his voice trembling, trying to sound sincere. But I saw the deceit clearly in his eyes, like a faded design sketch beyond saving. I looked straight at him, my voice cold but calm. Nathan, you thought I'd stay silent, that I'd let you take the Porsche. Take away the freedom I sweat blood for, but you were wrong. You will pay not just for me, but for everything you've destroyed. I called Rachel, the lawyer who helped me sign the expansion contract for Coastal Elegance, and said firmly, Rachel, I have full evidence of Nathan forging my signature and stealing assets. I want to take him to court, and I want to make sure he loses everything he holds dear. Rachel responded with excitement, Ellen. With what you have, we're not just going to disgrace Nathan. We're going to make him face legal consequences from assets to reputation. I nodded, feeling strength rise within me like the sea swelling before a storm. I thought of my mother's words. Dignity is something no one can steal. Ellen. I opened my iPad planning for the upcoming annual design exhibition, where the whole town, including Susan Nathan's sister, would be present. That would be the place where I would reveal the truth, preparing for the final battle in court. I sat in the studio sunlight, shining on the velvet fabric, every line a reminder that I had not fallen. Have you ever wished for justice to come immediately when betrayal breaks your heart? I wanted that, and I knew how to make it happen, step by step. I chose Coastal Elegance's annual design exhibition as the place to confront Nathan, a dazzling event at a glamorous seaside hotel in Oregon, where crystal chandeliers sparkled off glass walls, and the sound of distant waves echoed like an encouragement. I texted Julia, who had connections with the local press, my voice full of determination. Julia helped me reveal all the evidence at the exhibition. I want the whole town to know the truth before we take Nathan to court. Julia replied immediately, Ellen, I'll take care of the media from the local papers to social media. Just go all in, and I promise all of Oregon will stand with you. I prepared thoroughly, choosing an elegant black dress, not to show off, but to assert that I hadn't crumbled in the face of betrayal. I carried a USB drive with all the evidence emails between Nathan and Vanessa bank transactions, and a recording of Nathan saying to Vanessa, Ellen's too busy to suspect anything. She'll never know. I also handcrafted a small photo frame, printed with an image of the vintage Porsche 911 with the words hidden underneath. Truth is light. In the days leading up to the exhibition, I focused on Coastal Elegance, launching a new design collection with soft yellow lights and polished wood, attracting customers from all over Oregon, as a way to remind myself that I was still in control of my life. The night before the exhibition, Nathan came to the beach house, tried to hold my hand, speaking with feigned sincerity. Ellen, can we talk? I know I was wrong, but I don't want to lose you. I just wanted to do the right thing for Vanessa. She needed help. I pulled my hand away, looked him in the eyes, my voice sharp. Nathan, you'll get your chance to speak, but not here and not on your terms. The truth will come out, and you'll face the consequences of what you've done. The exhibition dazzled, lights shimmering, the sound of waves, like the heartbeat of the ocean. I stepped up to the podium, the black dress standing out under the spotlight, and smiled at the crowd. I'm so happy to share the new collection from Coastal Elegance. But today, I also want to tell another story. A story about truth, about trust, and about the strength of a woman when she's been betrayed. Nathan turned pale, tried to move toward me, but Julia, standing nearby, motioned him to stop. The crowd, tipped off by Julia through the local media, nodded their eyes, curious and fixed on me. I plugged the USB into the projector, and the big screen displayed Nathan's email to Vanessa. Make Ellen think she's lost everything. I played the recording, his voice cold. Ellen will never know. I pointed to the bank transactions, saying he forged my signature and sold the Porsche to support Vanessa. The crowd fell silent. Then murmurs spread their eyes, shifting from shock to outrage. Susan stood up abruptly, shouting. Her voice choked Nathan. How could you do this to Ellen? To our family, she didn't deserve this. I looked at Nathan, my voice sharp but calm. You wanted to destroy me, take away my freedom and my dream. But the truth is light, and today that light will expose everything you've done. I handed the small frame to Susan, whispering, Susan, keep this, and remember the truth always wins. Susan trembled as she opened the frame, finding the words, Truth is light, her eyes teary, hugging me tightly. Nathan stood there alone in the hall, his eyes hollow like a torn-up painting. I stepped down from the podium, head held high, the sound of the ocean, like applause for my victory. Have you ever witnessed the moment a betrayer crumbles under the weight of undeniable truth? I have. But my next move in court would be even more powerful. I stood in the courtroom of the Oregon County Court, the cold light from the large windows shining on the wooden benches, the atmosphere tense, like before a sea storm. At 50, I never thought I would face Nathan, my husband of 20 years here, as a defendant for theft and forgery. I wore an elegant navy blue suit, my hair tied high, eyes determined like ocean waves, constantly crashing onto the shore. Rachel! My lawyer sat next to me holding a thick stack of documents, emails, bank transactions, and recordings of Nathan, bragging to Vanessa. Each piece of evidence was a blade I had carefully prepared, sharp as a knife, slicing through silk. Nathan sat across from me, his suit-wrinkled eyes downcast, not daring to look at me as if he knew there was no way out. I remembered the mistaken message. Ellen's just busy with work. She doesn't know anything. Now his arrogance had vanished, leaving only a defeated man. Rachel stood up, her voice loud and clear. Your Honor, Nathan forged Mrs. Ellen's signature, sold the Porsche worth $80,000, transferred the money to Vanessa, his mistress, and paid her $10,000 to spread rumors and destroy Mrs. Ellen's reputation. This is not just betrayal. This is a crime. She displayed Nathan's email on the screen. Make Ellen think she's lost everything. The crowd in the courtroom murmured their eyes, shifting from shock to anger. Rachel played the recording, Nathan's voice cold. Ellen will never know. The room fell silent. Nathan stammered, trying to explain. I just wanted to help Vanessa get through a hard time. I never meant to hurt Ellen. I swear. But Rachel immediately pointed to the bank transactions, proving he paid Vanessa to spread the rumors, and the email he sent her, instructing her to continue sabotaging me. The judge, a stern woman with eyes sharp as knives, took detailed notes. Her brows furrowed. Susan sat in the back row, her eyes red, shaking her head repeatedly. After the exhibit, she had called me, her voice choking. Ellen, I'm on your side. I can't believe Nathan was this terrible, and I'm sorry I didn't realize it sooner. Her words were like sunlight breaking through the storm, giving me strength. When it was my turn to speak, I stood up. My voice rang out clearly, full of determination. Your Honor, the Porsche was not just a car, it was a dream, a symbol of freedom. I earned through sweat, through countless nights of designing with the heart. I poured into coastal elegance. Nathan wanted to steal it, to take away my dignity, thinking I would stay silent and accept the betrayal. But I stand here today to say that no one has the right to take what you've built. And I ask for justice, not only for myself, but for everything he has destroyed. I looked at Nathan, saw him bow his head, like a shattered painting that could not be restored. The judge delivered the verdict. Nathan must pay $80,000 in restitution, cover all legal fees, and was fined for forgery. He left the courtroom, his gaze lost with only broken lies left behind. I walked out of the court. The Oregon sunlight embraced me warm like a blessing. A new Porsche 911 was parked outside the courthouse, gleaming under the sun, like a declaration that I had reclaimed my freedom. I took a deep breath. The feeling of freedom filled my chest. Have you ever thought justice was something far away, unreachable? I used to think so, but I claimed it, and that was my greatest victory. The trial ended, and Nathan lost everything he once held dear. The town of Oregon no longer saw him as the trustworthy man of the finance world. Susan said he moved to a small apartment in Portland, living alone, doing odd jobs to get by. One time he called his voice weak, full of regret. "Ellen, I'm sorry for everything. I never meant to hurt you. I just lost control and went the wrong way." I listened but didn't answer because his apology was like sea wind passing by, unable to erase the wounds he had left in my heart. I focused on coastal elegance, where new clients kept coming in, not only for the stunning designs, but for my story, the story of a woman who did not fall to betrayal. Julia submitted an article to a local newspaper titled, "Designer Reclaims Her Dignity," recounting my journey from the mistaken message to the courtroom victory. Mrs. Harper, a VIP client, returned to the studio, held my hand with warm eyes. "Ellen, you're a great inspiration to me and to the whole community. Please design my beach house, and I want a space in the coastal style, just like your story." I smiled, warmth spreading inside me, and nodded in agreement. Coastal elegance was no longer just a design studio. It was a symbol of resilience, not just in Oregon, but across the Pacific Northwest. I launched a new collection inspired by the sea with navy tones, silver accents, and glossy wood like my new Porsche, but now each design was a reminder that I had overcome the darkness to create something beautiful and lasting. But the greatest thing I achieved wasn't revenue or fame. It was finding myself again. I started jogging every morning along the shore, feeling the sea breeze through my hair, bringing the same sense of freedom as driving the Porsche. I took up drawing, sketching crashing sea waves, finding joy in the simplest things, a brushstroke, Lily's smile. One evening in the beachside house, surrounded by gentle light, I wrote a letter to my mother. "Dear Mom, I've found my light again. And I'm not just a designer. I'm Ellen, the woman who never gave up." I placed the letter beside a photo of the old Porsche, like a promise to myself. Lily, now my main assistant, told me her mother had once been betrayed and never got back up. "Miss Ellen, you made me believe women can do anything, no matter how hard," she said, her eyes shining. I hugged her tightly, feeling like I had found a new family. I thought about Nathan's mistaken message, about how he and Vanessa had tried to destroy me. But they were wrong. Coastal elegance, my work, was the flame that kept me alive, the place where I turned pain into beautiful spaces. I opened my iPad, looked at the new contracts pouring in the light from the studio, whispering that I didn't just survive, I was living a more radiant life than ever. Have you ever thought you were just an ordinary person, not strong enough to make a difference? I used to think that, but now I know I am a light that cannot be extinguished. The town of Oregon wasn't just talking about Nathan's failure, they were talking about me, about coastal elegance, and about how I turned pain into power to rise above. I wanted my story to be an inspiration. So I held a workshop called Rebirth right at the studio, where dozens of women from all over Oregon gathered to share and heal. The studio, with its soft golden lights and the scent of polished wood in the air, became a safe space for them to cry, laugh, and rediscover their inner strength. Claire, one of the participants, walked up to me after the workshop, her eyes red but shining with hope. Ms. Ellen, my husband stole my savings to spend on his personal hobbies, and I used to think I couldn't get out. But your story gave me hope, gave me the courage to face it and start over." I held her hand, my voice gentle yet firm. Claire, you are stronger than you think, and your dream is a light no one can take away. Hold on to it. The workshop quickly grew with dozens of sign-ups every week, turning coastal elegance into a community center where women found strength through velvet fabrics and stories. I invited Julia to speak about how to protect personal assets, and her voice rang out with power. Women must be wise, must have a way out, and must believe in their own worth, no matter who tries to drag them down. I looked out at the crowd, saw eyes lighting up like the chandeliers in my design. The Porsche wasn't just a symbol of my freedom. It was a symbol for all of us women who had risen after pain. I organized a fundraising event at the Coastal Hotel where the design exhibition once took place, drawing hundreds of people and raising $50,000 for an organization, helping women escape toxic relationships. On stage in a deep blue dress, sparkling under the chandeliers, I shared my journey from the wrong text message to the new Porsche. Each of us has a Porsche inside. It's the dream, the dignity, the light no one can steal, I said, my voice trembling but full of determination. The crowd rose to their feet in applause, Susan smiling proudly from the front row. After the event, a young woman approached, eyes wet but full of resolve. Ms. Ellen, I just left a man who betrayed me, and I did it because of your story, because you showed me I could be strong. I hugged her tightly, whispering, you chose your own light, and that's the most beautiful thing you could have done. Now the town of Oregon knows. I'm not just a designer. I'm someone who lights the way for dreams and ignites resilience in the community. I thought of my mother's words. You always have a way out. Ellen, I opened my iPad and saw an email inviting me to speak at a women's conference in Seattle. I smiled and replied, I'll come and I'll bring my story. Have you ever thought that you could change someone's life just by being true to yourself? I never dared to dream that, but now I see an entire community growing stronger because of the light. I found again. I stood in the grand hall of an art museum in Portland, where Coastal Elegance held a special design exhibition. Brilliant lights shining on the new Porsche 911, parked in the space sparkling like a symbol of my rebirth journey. Hundreds of people gathered, their eyes bright, waiting for my story, the story of a 50-year-old woman in Oregon who faced betrayal and stood up stronger than ever. My new design collection, inspired by ocean waves and silver light, was displayed on the walls with deep blue velvet chairs, crystal chandeliers, and glossy wood like a narrative of the journey from pain to freedom. I stepped onto the podium, my deep blue dress shimmering, holding a small frame of the old Porsche, and my voice rang out clear and emotional. I used to think I was just a designer, a wife who loved her husband, but a wrong text message from Nathan shattered my world. He sold my Porsche, stole the freedom I earned with sweat to support his mistress, and tried to destroy Coastal Elegance, the dream I built with my heart. But I didn't fall. I stood up, faced him at the exhibition, took him to court, and reclaimed. Not just justice, I reclaimed myself. The crowd was silent, then erupted in thunderous applause, like waves rising high in Oregon. I held up the photo frame, the light shining on the image of the Porsche, and continued. Each of us has a Porsche. It's the dream, the dignity, the light inside. Even when life cuts deep, don't let anyone make you believe it's not worth it. Stand up, fight, and let your light shine bright. A woman stood up, eyes wet, shouting, Ms. Ellen, you inspired me. The entire hall followed applause, roaring like a great wave, washing away the doubts that once trapped me. I looked out at the crowd, thought of my mother, of her words. Dignity is something no one can steal. I thought of Nathan, of that wrong message. Ellen only cares about work. He was wrong, and I proved it not just by winning in court, but by standing here inspiring hundreds. Coastal Elegance is now a well-known brand with clients from all over the Pacific Northwest, but what I treasure most is the community of women I helped build, from the rebirth workshops to the fundraising events. I stepped down from the podium, the Porsche gleaming in the hall, and a young woman ran up and hugged me tightly. "Ms. Ellen, I'm opening a small shop, and I'm doing it because of you." I held her and whispered, "You are the light, and don't ever let it fade." I looked out at the hall, knowing that my journey is not just my own story, it's a flame lighting the way for others. You, the one hearing this story, I want to tell you, life can be full of cuts, but you are stronger than you think. Find your own Porsche. It's your dream, your dignity, your inner light. Live fully. Find joy in the little things. A cup of coffee, a smile, or a dream you're chasing. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and whispered to myself, "Ellen, you did it, and you will keep shining." I stepped out of the museum lights, sparkling, knowing my journey isn't ending. It's spreading like the silver light of ocean waves under the Oregon sun.